Mason has great command of the offense. I mean, he just pure on the field game day. He's very experienced. He's strong personality in the locker room. I really like his command, understanding the offense. You know, he's been through a number of systems. He's been asked to do things differently for how we believe the quarterback position is played. He's done an excellent job.
Interesting, CB. Welcome back to the Snap Count Show on Big Play Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Trai Essex, and this is your quarterback in mind, Mr. Charlie Batch, sir. Welcome to our pregame show. CB, those comments from Coach McCarthy came after, I guess he announced that Mason is no longer playing in this preseason game. Him and Aaron Rodgers are sitting out. This will be the Will Howard and Drew Aller show, CB. What do you have to say about that? It's interesting in this second preseason game that Mason has already proven enough at this point where coaches don't need to see anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's good for you on one sense, you know, but so it can be a blessing on one side, but also it can be a curse on the other, only because if this young guy, Will Howard, goes out and performs and he's lights out throughout, now it opens up the conversation on whether or not he's ready to be the backup quarterback. And if that's the case, then there's a chance that, you know, maybe you're pushing Mason out the door. He's done enough to make this roster. There's no question about it. It's just a matter of whether or not these young guys are able to show enough on tape that it now convinces Mike McCarthy to open up his mindset as it relates to what he's looking to do on the quarterback side. So very important game here for these young quarterbacks as we prepare for tomorrow.
Which brings me to my questions for you too, CBI. It's still too early to tell, obviously, but want to know what you think, what your experience up to this point and being around the franchise as much as you are. Do you get the sense that because this decision was made that Mason has secured the backup job? That's my first question. And if so, number two, I guess 1A, 1B, if both these quarterbacks ball out, I don't think you can sneak either one onto the practice squad, especially not Aller being a rookie. What is the likelihood that both of those quarterbacks make the team, make the 53, and we carry four quarterbacks on the roster?
To me, it's always been 0%. And the reason why I say that is because, yes, you may be able to keep him on the very first week leading up to the game in hopes of maybe trading somebody. So you don't want nobody to steal these young quarterbacks off of your roster. But I think that will change as you get closer to the game. And the only reason why I say that, because it's hard to develop young quarterbacks when the season is unfolded if he's not your number two quarterback. Why? Because the starter takes all the reps. The backup now is playing the scout team quarterback, still knowing your assignment as the backup quarterback. And then the third team quarterback gets whatever is left that the backup quarterback may not necessarily need. So when you're looking from a fourth quarterback perspective, that means there's a strong chance throughout the course of a work week that he may never get any reps. So how are you truly going to prepare that quarterback to do it? That's just my experience. I don't know what's happening in this particular case. All I know is, yes, McCarthy is comfortable with his four quarterbacks, but he has yet to say that Mason has secured the backup job. I'm not worried about him. He's on the roster. He now has to see these young guys. Those words didn't come out of his mouth. So because of that, there still is opportunity for a Will Howard to take a job. And the reason why I say this, Trey, is because 20-some years ago, my rookie year, when I was in Detroit, Scott Mitchell, he was the starting quarterback. Jim Miller was the backup. I was drafted, but I was running with the threes in the second round. So as I was getting ready to prepare, the coaching staff seen on tape within those preseason games to say Charlie is ready as a rookie to be the backup. And ultimately, Jim Miller was released from the Lions, and I was the backup, and I was playing by week 3. So that's why I look at it, because I'm sharing my personal experience of what can happen. When you look at just Mike McCarthy's coaching record, he has not, as a head coach, kept 4 quarterbacks on the roster. Could it change this year? Slim chance. But just my personal opinion, I don't think that keeping 4 quarterbacks is going to happen.
Yeah, just the domino effect from keeping 4 quarterbacks. Like you mentioned, you can't develop both young quarterbacks if neither one of them is the backup quarterback, because somebody's missing out. Somebody is definitely missing out on reps throughout the week, because there's only so much you can do, only so much time you have, and only so many reps you can divvy up amongst the quarterbacks. And Aaron is taking the majority of the reps throughout the week, no matter what. And just from the roster construction standpoint, that has a domino effect on who you can keep at other positions. And obviously we need depth at so many other positions, which leads us to the fact of, yes, this is a big game for the quarterbacks, but it's a big game for so many other position groups out there. Obviously the O-line, as we mentioned, struggled a little bit to start, but did enough to the tune that we scored 28 points. And so they had some stuff to prove. Obviously the safeties and the secondary got to really back up that performance that they did last week, because me and you both were high on how well they tackled as a group. And then we got some new people added to the mix. We got Landon Roberts back in. How's that going to look from a linebacker rotation standpoint? And so when we go into our things to watch, CB, obviously the first thing that was mentioned that we talked about is your first one, is quarterback play. Go ahead and talk more about that.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback just off what you said when you talk about roster configuration, right? So let's assume that Mike McCarthy keeps 4 quarterbacks. So that means for 17 straight weeks in the regular season, Mike McCarthy is going to inactivate 3 spots. And those are your 2 spots, essentially, your third-team quarterback and your fourth-team quarterback that you know they are not able to play. So now so when you're trying to figure out which 47 that are going to be available, you know already. Now, if injuries play a factor into it, it's very tough. That's why that's another thing as it relates to why it's tough to keep 4 quarterbacks, because you know 2 is on the inactive list every single week. So that's going to be a challenge. So again, that's one thing on the roster configuration. I'm sure we'll get to that over the next week as we prepare and start talking about what the final roster looks like. But when we look at where we are with the quarterback play here, this is Will Howard in pole position. Now they want to see him. Had 19 plays last week. He did a very nice job of running the offense, especially that 2-minute drill right before the half. Now he's going to see if he can start and keep that play up for the entire first half. And that's going to be that evaluation piece. And of course, he'll give way to Drew Aller on the other side. I'm sure both of them will have a 2-minute opportunity to see how they progress from week 1 to week 2, because both of these quarterbacks did a very nice job as well in that game. This is important. So Will Howard understands. He talked about how important this game is. Yes, he talked about being the next game on the importance, and he's not showing any nervousness as he's preparing for this game. He's saying, hey, man, this is what I expected to be a potential starting quarterback in this league. It may not be for the regular season, but he is starting tomorrow.
Right. And the guys tasked with protecting those guys, the O-line, I am looking not at just their play, but how coach rotates them, how coach Campen brings in the guys. Now, I'm assuming that the same starting lineup is going to start this week versus the Jets. And that is obviously Troy at left tackle, Mason at left guard, Zach at center, Spence at right guard, and Dylan Cook at right tackle. Specifically looking at Dylan Cook and how quick Broderick Jones gets into the game. He had, I think, the better game out of all the tackles last week. And I think he's going to get a lot more opportunities to prove if he should be that swing guy. Obviously, for the Steelers, and as I mentioned, as potential trade bait, because there are some guys going down in camp already. There are always a need for offensive tackles in this NFL, especially when training camp gets done. There's always some guys banged up and whatnot. And so looking at how they rotate up front, how quick Broderick gets in, what Jennings Dunker does after a great performance last week. Can he piggyback on that and put 2 together and prove to these coaches that he's ready to take it to the next level, and see who comes in first as the backup center? And as I mentioned, Brock Hoffman came in. And I was surprised that he got backup center roles. I did not know that was in his repertoire. But now that he's added that to his belt, he's become more valuable to this team. And now they have people vying for that spot as the backup swing guy. That usually when you only carry 7 guys, you have the starting 5, the swing tackle, and you had a guy, a backup center, and then a guy that can play both guards, and then a third center who can snap as well. And so I'm looking at how they come in and how they rotate and what positions they come in and play when they do get in.
And that's one of the most important position groups when you talk about position flexibility, because you have to be able to play dual roles, especially when you start talking about the 7th, 8th, 9th offensive lineman. That brings value. That's why it's important on the rotation on what you're talking about, Trey.
Right. Oh, yeah. Next, CB, Landon Roberts is back. 50 is back. You said he got his number 50 back, right? He took it from Jamin Davis. Even though Jamin Davis had one heck of a game last week, he got it back, and he caused a ruckus his first day back. What did he say? I didn't know the tempo, so I only know one speed. And so he started causing him mayhem his first day in practice, and they had fights. And that's what I wanted to see, a little bit of added to that practice, and he brought that back in. I want to see how they're going to use him. And I know Coach McCarthy in that in that presser, he mentioned, and later on, that this is going to be a game for young people. That's the vibe that I'm getting, a game for the young folks to showcase their ability. So that probably means that Landon Roberts probably isn't going to get a whole lot of reps. He knows the system already. He is familiar with where he's supposed to be. Obviously, is already causing mayhem in practice. So they probably want to, what's the quote that Coach Tomlin used to say? I'd rather say whoa than sick him. You probably want to say whoa on Landon Roberts because he don't want him to get too banged up or too nicked up. This is year 10 for him in the league already. And so I am happy to see him back. I want to see how he's used.
No, and that's fair because anytime you bring a veteran guy this late into training camp, essentially close to the regular season, there's a strong chance he's going to make this roster. And people who played with him before on this roster know how he's capable and know the speed that he played with in practice. As a veteran guy, he could have walked in and said, hey, man, this practice is a little lame, man. I'm about to liven this thing up with fresh legs. And that got the tempo going. But again, if you're defensive coordinator Patrick Graham, you're saying to yourself, this is why he's on this roster right now. My experience that I've had with him last year in Las Vegas, the experience that he had with the Patriots prior to coming to the Steelers, where he's won multi Super Bowls. So he knows how to play. He plays at a high level, and he brings stability into that linebacker group. So that is one thing. I don't expect to see much from him in this preseason game. But again, as he is now ramping up and getting his legs back, this is going to be a great addition for this defense. And that's as we're speaking on the linebacker side, that now gets me to the safeties, right? At safeties, I thought they all played a really good game last week. They were able to keep everything in front. A couple of passes that were deep, they were able to defend. It was really good to see. And the one thing I love is the fact that they were coming out of the middle of the field and they wanted to put their hat in the pile to be able to make the tackles. The one person who did that surprised me is the young gun. We're talking about Robert Spears Jr. I mean, Jennings. This guy made play after play, the 7th round pick out of Oklahoma. And I think that maybe caught a lot of people off guard. They didn't expect that right away. He now needs to build onto that. We know who the starters are going to be. We know it's going to be Brister. We know it's going to be Elliott. But again, what does the next phase of talent looks like on this team? So again, when you have Sebastian Castro, he was drafted last year. He had a nice game, but without Jalen Ramsey in the game, because we still to this day have no idea what position he is going to play. So that opens the door for the next group of guys. And that's what you want to see here. And I want to see those guys, and I want to see them continue to elevate their play in the same manner that they did coming out of week 1.
Right. One of the position groups that we were kind of down on, there were a lot of positives out of last week's games, but the one thing that we came out of and said we need to work on this is the running game. Now, we thought Lou Nichols did play well. I expect to see more of that. That he has proven that in the preseason he is capable of toting that rock and doing it well. The main guy I am looking at, Caleb Johnson. He was asked about, Coach McCarthy was asked about him and his lack of touches last week. He said it was just the flow of the game and didn't quite know if it was the right game plan for a high carry situation for Caleb Johnson. And so he's saying that he's going to get more opportunities to do it this week. Still, it was telling that Travis Homer was the first one in. It was telling that Lou Nichols had most of the carries. It was telling that Eli Heinrich came in and had more carries than Caleb Johnson, the 3rd-round draft pick out of Iowa last year. And so I'm trying to see how these touches are going to get divvied up. What point in the game is he going to come in, and what kind of impact when he gets in is he going to have?
And that's fair. And when you look and have a new regime, but yet you don't get those carries, of course, these questions are going to be asked. So that is one that is going to be open, and there's opportunities there in that running back group, because I just don't believe that Jalen Warren and Rico Dowdle will play this week as well. We're going to see that same rotation of backs. Let's just see what order it is. Right. And when I look on the other side, that goes right back into the point of special teams. Special teams, that 3rd running back has to be able to play special teams. Exactly. And that's something that happened because as the ebb and flow of the game happens, now you're in spots that maybe you're not normally in. And that generally occurs on special teams. They had a very tough first half with the number of penalties that they had on special teams. And we're talking everybody from top to bottom, Pro Bowler, all the way down to a guy who is trying to make this roster. So everybody is now on alert, because that's something you just can't have in that impacted field position. Because as the Packers were starting, it seemed like at the 30, 40-yard line, there were a lot of drives that were started inside the 15. So I think these are things that now have to be corrected in order for them to get going, because you don't want to get off to that slow start. And when you have a young quarterback in the manner of Will Howard, you want to make sure you're giving him the best field position. So if you can now steal a first down or two on those returns in this punt return and a kick return game, that's going to help a young quarterback out.
Definitely going to help a young quarterback out. It's going to help a young person out. May help a rookie out. CB, I'm about to ask you a question. When you look at our rookies, we drafted 10 of them, right, CB? But to put you on the spot a little bit, out of all the 10 rookies, and it's a strong class by the way it looks right now, the way they played last week, out of all the 10 rookies, which one do you think needs to improve his stock the most in this game?
Excuse me. If I had to guess, just looking at it, I would probably think that it has to be Jennings Dunker, because in that rotation, you got off. I mean, that's generally what happens when you have a rookie in there, and you're not playing against guys with that rotation, because you're trying to see so many people. I just think he needs to take that next step there, because there was a lot of talk that he could potentially step in as a starter, as a young guy. He just now has to take that next jump. We don't know what that looks like, because yesterday he was limited in practice, but will he be ready to go on game day? That's going to be something that pays attention to. I'm expecting him to play. There's no way, and he understands the opportunity that's out there for him, that he's going to want to miss this game. If he does, that means something serious is going on that we'll have to monitor. But out of all the rookies, I look at that. That is the guy that I want to see go out there and just become a mauler and open up the run game.
I like it. Well, all the Iowa kids have something to prove. When you look at it, Caleb Johnson, aforementioned Caleb Johnson, Jennings Dunker, Caden Weeden needs to improve upon what he did last week as well. When I'm looking at the rookie class, I'm not going to say out of all the rookies, Caden needs to improve it most, or at least needs to show up more. I'm looking at Eli Heinrich. And so when I mentioned Caleb, he got in last behind Eli, but Eli only had one more carry. So I want to see if he's somebody that the offense is really interested in bringing him in and adding him to and being a part of this offense. Like, are they going to have plays specifically for Eli Heinrich? Are they going to use his skill set? Is he something that they envision adding to Aaron Rodgers and plays that he wants to call on game day this year? Or is he still somebody they envision bringing up via practice squad? And so I'm looking at his carry, how they use him, and in what scenarios they bring him in on to see if he's somebody they envision to make this 53-man roster.
Makes sense. Makes sense. He did. He had a strong game. Of course, big catch, everybody remembers, but they want to see more from that return game, especially from him.
Oh, but I said Eli Heinrich, but there's somebody else that I want to see from that needs to carry on a strong performance that he had last week, and that's Gabriel Rubio. Like, that kid right there could not be moved, CB. I don't know if you watch this clip, but there's a guy, our favorite guy on social media, Tommy Jaggy, broke down his clips, and he was unstoppable versus the run. I want to see, can he do that again 2 weeks in a row? The big question mark on him was how durable he was, or the fact that he wasn't durable enough while at Pittsburgh. And so the tape wasn't out there. Luckily for us, it kind of made him drop to the 6th round. We might have gotten a gem in him. He needs to improve and see, can he do as well in the pass game that he did in the run game? Can he add some pass rush moves? Can he be a factor in the pass rush? And hopefully he can be an added piece to this already deep, very deep D-line.
And it's important. And when you look at just the guys that are in front of you, your money makers, there's nothing you could do about the top two in that situation. And then you have a first rounder from last year in Derek Harmon. So when you look at just the spots that are available, you are fighting for possibly one active roster spot, and of course what is available on the practice squad. So this is a big game for him. That's on the defensive side. I'm flipping over to the offensive side, because my player to watch is Roman Wilson right now. We are expecting him at year 3, new system. He looked really good in training camp, and he was really the featured receiver. If I had to guess at all the catches, he had to be in the top 2 or top 3 of catches throughout the entire training camp. But for whatever reason, it did not resonate in the game. When the game went on, he had 1 catch for 7 yards. That has to be better as the veteran guy. You cannot have the young guy coming in. I know Jeremy Bernard probably had a little bit more opportunities there, but he had 4 catches for 51 yards. Jeremy did. But Roman has to step up, and he understands if he wants to hold off this young guy, he has to have a monster game today. Mm-hmm. When I say today, meaning the game day, it has to be. You cannot wait until the final preseason game and say, yeah, I'm warming up to it. Trust me, I can get it done. Make it productive in the games. That's the person that I'm watching, and I'm hoping he takes that next step.
Yeah. Coaches have been hyping you up. Teammates have been hyping you up. We need to see it on game day now. I want to see it come to fruition on game day. I know he's been working hard. He's out there running his routes as hard as he can. It just hasn't happened yet. Hopefully it happens tonight versus the Jets. And so, speaking of CB, we can't get out of here without making one big play bet for our partners over there at FanDuel. The over-under for this game, total points scored, is 36.5. Last week, we scored, 29? 28? 28 points, 4 touchdown scoring drives. The Jets scored 16. I mean, that math right there would suggest the over. But when you look at this game, how do you think it plays out?
It's twofold for me, right? If Geno Smith is able to play a series, he may put some points on the board. But if he does not play and where they're going with their young guys, I'm going under. I just don't think that the Jets offense is equipped enough to score on this defense or really just score in general. And there's not a lot expected in that particular manner. So I'm going with the under in this particular case.
Yeah, I agree with you. I see a game that's probably going to turn out probably 24-3, 28, I don't know, 28-6. That's still not, yeah. So I'm going to go under with you, CB. I don't think there's going to be enough points scored from the Jet side. I think Will Howard and our boy Drew Aller do come through, and the offense is raring on all engines, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
No doubt. Looking forward to it.
But make sure you guys subscribe to us on Big Play Sports on YouTube as well as Instagram. Follow us on Snap Count Show on X. Make sure you tune in on Mondays at 7 p.m. as well as 12 p.m. every Friday to get your pregame on with us at the Snap Count Show. We shall see you soon. Here we go. Big Play Bets are brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, think you know who's hitting a homer today? Well, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. Joining the action is easy. Just make your free pick on who's hitting a home run in their game, and if you're right, you'll get a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. You've got nothing to lose and a lot to gain. And don't forget, you can make a free pick every day during the Major League Baseball season. It's just another reason why FanDuel is home for home runs. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com/bigplay. That's FanDuel.com/bigplay to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of MLB.